نعم. الحمد لله رب العالمين القائل في كتابه المبين والذكر فإن الذكرى تنفع المؤمنين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الناصح الأمين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه تابعين لهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد. طيب, alhamdulillah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. This morning talk bi'ithnillahi ta'ala is a reminder to myself and to you all bi'ithnillah. And unfortunately, and I say unfortunately, especially in the time that we live in, a topic like this need to be addressed throughout the days. There are several conversations, a lot of heated debates have been taking place online and offline pertaining to muhabba, love, and pertaining to love of particular people who are famous, so to speak, celebrities, and our time and how we deal with all of this. Is it permissible? Is it impermissible? Is it possible? Can we have love? Is it not truly love? Is it just admiration, respect? All of these different things come up, and a lot of people have a lot of things to say. So some people are taking stances towards other individuals, and other people are taking stances towards other individuals, and people are actually making thought, criticizing one another pertaining to this. So I wanted to, by the permission of Allah Jalla wa Ala, shed some light on the fanaticism, because it is a form of ta'assub, and the celebrity love that takes place and how is it looked at in Islam. The do's of it and the don'ts. You know, is respecting a celebrity, is having respect for their profession and what they do, is that necessitate love, or do they not necessitate love? All of these different things we want to look at. Can someone say that you are a blind following or having fanaticism towards a certain celebrity, musician, athlete, actress, or actor just because you admire their work? Just because, can someone say that? So I wanted to bring a, inshallah ta'ala, Islamic point of view pertaining to this. So we're going to look at the issue or the mas'ala of what they call al-wala wal-bara. And this is important because most of us, and if not all of us, need to really study the issue of wal-wala al-bara. And I'm going to explain what these terms means and the terminology of it, because that's what it boils down to. All right? And when you hear the term al-wala wal-bara, what it means is loyalty and association towards the believers, Allah's messenger, the believers, and disloyalty and dissociation towards those who are not from the first category that we mentioned. This is a fundamental principle within Islam, and you cannot escape it. As we're going to see in this talk, there are too many evidence that's in the Quran and in the Sunnah about wala wal bara. And I think a lot of us maybe might have forgotten it, or we might have not came across it. One of the definitions of Islam is a general definition. It's called al-huwa istislamu lillahi bit-tawheed wa inqiyadu lahu bit-ta'a wa shirku bi ahlihi wa bara'atu min ash-shirki wa ahlihi. In this definition, a lot of people don't understand the definition of Islam in and of itself. So this definition is a general definition. First is to surrender to Allah Jalla wa Ala with tawheed. Okay? Secondly, it is to yield to Him obediently. Thirdly, is to dissociate yourself from shirk and its people. What does that mean? Dissociate yourself from shirk and its people. What does that mean? A lot of people are lackadaisical when it comes to this aspect of the definition. A lot of people don't understand how serious or the severeness of this part of the definition. Wal-wala wal-bara is a fundamental principle of the deen. I have to stress that before I begin, so that you understand that it is not a light matter. It's not one of those matters that we can just put to the side and we just can skate around it and it's there and we see it, but we really don't have to address it. Or it's pertaining to others but not ourselves. No, it's important. And this is how we're going to understand the title of this talk today. Type. So when it comes to the wala wal bara, you have to first understand that the issue of wala wal bara is that the asl al muwalat, al muhabba wa muwadda, right? The origin of wala wal bara, so that you can understand this word bara and wala comes in the Quran. I'm going to give you some verses inshallah ta'ala that you're going to see that this word comes there and that this understanding is there. Alright, Allah Azza wa Jalla says in the Quran, لا تجد قوم يؤمنون بالله ويوم الآخر يوادون من حاد الله ورسوله ولو كانوا آباءهم أو أبناءهم أو إخوانهم أو عشيرتهم. In this verse in Surah Al-Mujadila, Allah Azza wa Jalla says, you will not find a people who believe in Allah in the last day. Yuwadun. Okay? The word yuwadun is on a different wazn, but it actually comes from what we call muwadda. Alright? Love and affection. You will not find a people who believe in Allah in the last day. This is the Quran. This is not a sheikh. This is not fulan. This is not alan. This is actually the wording in the Quran. I'm giving you the speech of Allah. You will not find them. يُوَادُّونَ مَنْ حَادَّ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ. You will not find them having muwaddah for those who oppose Allah and His Messenger. Then Allah make and show you how severe this is, even if they be from their fathers, or their sons, or their brothers, or their tribesfolk, or their kinsmen. Okay? Allah does not mention the mother here in this verse. Another verse, Allah Jalla wa Ala, He mentions, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la tattakidu aba'akum wa ikhwanakum awliya'a in istahabbu al-kufra ala iman wa man yatawallahum minkum fa'ulaika humul zalimun. In Surah At-Tawbah, Allah Jalla wa Ala, He says, O you who believe, addressing the people of Iman, He says, do not take your fathers and your brothers as awliya. Now the word awliya is the plural for the word wali. Alright, the word wali that you know is what we're talking about, wala. When we say wala wal bara, wala, the word wali, walaya, that's what it is. Right? So do not take your fathers or your brothers as wali, awliya. The condition, in istahabbul kufra ala iman. If they prefer, if they chose, if they select disbelief over that of iman. Allah doesn't stop there. He said, وَمَنْ يَتَوَلَّاهُمْ, and whoever minkum, whoever from amongst you, turn to them with this wala, with this wali. فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الظَّالِمُونَ, then indeed there are those who are the zalimun. Okay? Then Allah continues. He says, قُلْ إِن كَانَ آبَاءَكُمْ أَوْ أَبْنَاءَكُمْ أَوْ إِخْوَانَكُمْ أَوْ أَزْوَاجُكُمْ أَوْ عَشِيرَتَكُمْ أَوْ أَمْوَالٌ اقْتَرَفْتُمُوهَا, and to the end of the verse. So Allah says, say, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if it be that your fathers, your sons, your brothers, your wives, your kinsfolk, okay, the wealth that you have accumulated, the tijaratun kasadaha, that the tijarah that you fear are declining, the masakin taradawnaha, the places of residence that you love to live in, ahabba ila Allahi wa rasulihi wa jihadin fi sabilihi fatarabbasu hatta ya'ti Allahu bi amri. Alright? If they are more beloved to you and more dearer to you than that of Allah Azza wa Jal, His Messenger in jihad in the way of Allah Azza wa Jal, then wait till Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala command come. Allah says, Wallahu la yahdi qawma al-fasiqeen. Indeed, Allah does not guide the people who are fasiq. These verses are establishing the point of wala and the word mawadda. So the Shaykh, he says here, Shaykh Salih Ali Shaykh, that is, he says the asl al-wala al-bara is that the asl al-muwala. Okay, when we say the word muwala, we're talking about wala, like awliya. He said the asl of it is muhabba wal muwadda. Okay, the origin of it is love and affection. Do you understand? What is love? Love and affection. Where do love take place? It emanates from the heart. Okay? He says, وَلِهَذَا اسْتَدَلَّ بِقَوْلِهِ. For this reason, the author used as a way of his proof for his statement, لَا تَجِدُ قَوْمٍ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ يُوَادُّونَ. You will not find the people who love Allah, who believe in Allah in the last day, loving, having affection. So here in this verse, Allah explains to us clearly that muwalat is also muwaddah, is love and affection. وهذا معناه أصل موالة في القلب. And the origin of muwaddah and muwala can be found in the heart. وهو محبة الشرك. And look what it is. It is to have love for shirk, polytheism, no matter what form it comes, whether it is zahir or whether it's khafi, whether it is that which is major or whether it is minor, whether you can see it, whether it's apparent, whether it is hidden. It don't matter in what form it is, you are not under no circumstances to have any love and affection for shirk. Number one. Or having love for the people who are practicers or practitioners of shirk and of disbelief. Do you understand this? This draw a line in the sand. I know many of you are going to say, brother, I hear this, I understand this, but what about my loved ones? What about my mom? What about my father? What about my cousins? What about my brothers? What about my sisters? I mean, many of you might already going to say this once I'm saying these verses. I know many of you are going to say that. And if you heard the verses in entirety, you would notice that what I mentioned in the verses that Allah mentioned, it's one group or one person that Allah left out of the whole verse, and that was your mother. The ulama talks about that, why Allah excluded the mother from the verse. Did you understand that? But all of the other ones are mentioned. Your father, your brother, your kinfolks, all of that is mentioned. The only one that's left out is your mother. Tayyib? So, wait for it. He says, so the origin of the deen is that whoever enters into the statement, La ilaha illallah, right? Then he loves this statement and what it entails or indicates of Tawheed, then he loves its people. And it necessitates that he hates shirk, which invalidates and which opposes this statement, right? And he hates its people. Two things must take place. You're going to learn in this talk, it's not possible to love one without the other. It is not possible to do what? Love one without the other. Do you understand this? It's not possible to love one without the other. What I mean by that? You cannot love La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah wal mu'mineen wal rasul, etc. You have to understand what this is saying. It's not possible that you can say you love Allah, His Messenger, the believers, etc., etc., etc. And you do not hate shirk and his people, kufr and his people. It's not possible. Not possible. And we're going to see what this means. It's not possible. Well, brother, I understand. It's not possible. Do you understand? And we're going to bring you some real reasons that why it's not possible. From the fitra. So you understand what the fitra is. From that natural inclination, disposition you are made upon. You're going to see. From rational proof. Not just from the wahy, revelation, but it's not possible. Do you understand? He says, فَكَلِمَةُ الْوَلَاءِ وَالْبَرَاءِ هِيَ مَعْنَى مُوَالَةٍ وَمُعَادَةٍ. So when we hear this word wala' wal bara', what we basically are saying that it comes with the meaning of association, supporting, aiding, and animosity, right? And opposition, etc. Also it comes with the meaning hub wa bughd, love and hate. Also it is said wal wala' wal bara' pertaining to Allah Azza wa Jal is to love for Allah and hate for Allah. Tayyib? All three of these meanings are understood under the statement wala' wal bara'. Alright, so let's go back and do a recap here. Wala' wal bara' is a fundamental principle of the deen. We brought you some verses showing you that what? It's not permissible to have wala' towards those who prefer kufr over iman. We brought you the verse in Surah At-Tawbah. We also showed you that it's not permissible to have awliya from the people who are disbelievers and the people who are upon shirk. We already brought you the verses. Do you understand this? Wala' wal bara'. Now bara'. What is some of the proof for bara'? Ibrahim alayhi salam, as Allah Jalla wa Ala tells us in the Quran, that he says in the surah, Innani, or he says, Innani bara'un, indeed I am free from you and that which you worship. And he says, Inna bara'un minkum وَمِمَّا تَعْبُدُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ. Indeed, we are free from you and that which you worship besides Allah. So this word bara'ah comes in the Quran. This word bara'ah is important. You have to have wali and bara. This is basically what they're trying to explain. He says, so the origin of this place is the heart, the love of the heart. So when you find the heart loving shirk, then in that case, what it does, it inclines, pay attention, and it support and aids shirk. And if it prefers, that heart loves the people of shirk, then it inclines to support and aid the people of shirk. Likewise, the same take place if it loves Tawheed and Iman, then it would do the same thing for the people of Iman, etc. You understand? Right? Henceforth, Allah Jalla wa Ala, He says in the Quran, إِنَّمَا وَلِيُّكُمُ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا الَّذِينَ يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَيُؤْتُونَ الزَّكَاةَ وَهُمْ رَاكِعُونَ. This is your family. All right? This verse is establishing that for you. This is your family. And so the Ma'idah, Allah Azza wa Jalla said that you only have, your wali is only Allah, His messenger, and the believers. Those who establish the prayer, give the zakat, and they bow down, they're raki'un. Those who bow down, meaning they make ruku'. وَمَنْ يَتَوَلَّ اللَّهَ, whoever turns to Allah as a wali, وَرَسُولُهُ, and His messenger, وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, and those who believe, فَإِنَّ حِزْبَ اللَّهِ, then that is the party of Allah, هُمُ الْغَالِبُونَ, indeed the party of Allah will be the victorious. Okay? So the Ma'idah, meaning whoever loves and aids Allah Azza wa Jalla and His messenger, then they, and those who believe, then rather that is the party of Allah will be victorious. So muwalat mushrikeen wa kuffar muharrama wa kabiru min al-kabair. Pay attention. He says having muwala, having this wali towards the people who are mushrik, practice shirk, and the people who are disbelievers is impermissible. Not only is it impermissible, it is a major type of sin. It's min al-kabir min al-kabair, right? He says وَقَدْ تَصِلْ, and this is what you want to pay attention to. بِصَاحِبِهَا إِلَى الْكُفْرِ وَالشِّرْكِ. It can even lead the individual to kufr or disbelief that will take him out of the fold of Islam. Let's stop here. Let's stop here because I don't want no one to get this misconstrued. I know a lot of people are boggled down with that because we're coming from Muhammad Wahhab's book anyway. They're boggled down that he had made takfir on many of the Muslims. A lot of the people who were in opposition to Sheikh Muhammad Wahhab, when you read the history and historical evidence around him, they say that he was making a lot of takfir on the Muslim community, that it was okay to be called them disbelievers and it's okay to fight against them, etc., etc. So they use that as an argument. But I want to remove ourselves from Muhammad Wahhab right now. We brought you verses. No one can escape those verses. Not only that, I'm going to bring you statements from a 7th century, 6th century scholar, way even before then, who were already talking like this. So it can't be just Muhammad Wahhab at the end of the day. That's my point I'm trying to say. It can't just be he just talking like this. There are verses in the book of Allah. There are hadith from the Messenger of Allah, as you're going to see in this talk, that shows this indication. So I like to follow the evidence, not the statement of this person or that person. Let's follow the evidence. You can't get around the Quran. You can't get around the hadith. It's clear, all right? So, we have to understand this point. It says, for this reason, the ulama, they have laid down principles pertaining to this very intricate topic. And it is an intricate topic. And it's a very sensitive topic, especially during our time, because we are caught up in a time where there is a lot of famous people. And it's hard not to be, if you're someone who has a tube, a TV, you grew up with this person, he's a ball player, he's a football player, you love the sports, you love the game, you have respect for the game, you have respect for the person. It's natural. You want to naturally love the people that play it, you watch it. You want to naturally love the people that you listen to on a common basis. You want to naturally have an admiration or respect for them. You want to have people that we grew up basically with these people. We haven't grew up in their homes. We haven't probably met them. Some of us have, some of us haven't. We probably did that, but we have dealt with these people, meaning that they touches our lives in some type of way. They're on our TV. They're in the commercials. They're on different things. They're on billboards. They're on ads. So they are a part of our life. Let's stop acting like they aren't. Do you understand? And a lot of people that don't understand that concept, they won't understand the commotion that broke out over Kobe. They wouldn't understand that. So they will come with stuff like this. And I am in agreement that wala wa bara is haqq. And no one is disputing that. And they will come with statements such as, why are you like this for the scholar? Or why are you like this for the Muslims that are being suffered or persecuted in every land? Why are you not like this? Why are you like this over a non-believer death? They would come with statements like this. And it sounds like it makes sense when they come with statements like this. And I understand where they're coming from. But they also need to understand what society that we live in and how we all are affected in some way or another. They all need to understand this. So how do we understand this in light of everything I'm going to go over? I'm going to try to help us understand. That's why I said the do's and the don'ts. How do we understand this in light of all this? I'll tell you. Okay? As far as the statement of we are not like this over the scholars, I want to just address this real quick. First and foremost, there are scholars in your lifetime and in my lifetime that we're not going to know. We're never going to know about them. All right? There are scholars whose fame has reached far corners. And we know like the likes of Sheikh Salih Fawzan, Hafidhullah, the likes of Sheikh Al-Albani, like Sheikh Uthaymeen, Sheikh Muqbil, etc. All right? There are scholars whose fame has traveled through centuries, like Ibn Taymiyyah, like Ibn Ahmed, many of them, that we have grown profoundly to have a love. Naturally, we are obligated to love and support all believers. Okay, and we are obligated to love all of the scholars upon the truth, whether we know them or we do not know them. Do you understand it? That's naturally understood. Whether you know of them or you do not know of them, you naturally love them. That's the same thing that goes to place when people say, why are you worrying about the Muslims that's being persecuted in China? Why are you not worrying about the Muslims that are being persecuted over here? But you're worrying about a celebrity, or you're worrying about a death of celebrity. You're worrying about this. The answer to that is Allah Jalla wa Ala tells us in the Quran, fi Surah An-Nur, if you pay attention to the dua that Nuh made, he says that, oh my Lord, I seek forgiveness for my parents, for myself, and for all of the believing men and all the believing women. It is wajib upon us to constantly make dua for all believing men and all believing women, for ourselves and for our parents. The ulama explains this in the tafsir of that verse. It is obligatory and wajib for all us to make dua for the believing men and believing women. We don't have to wait till a commotion happen with the death of a celebrity to start vows or competing with that, just to show that we are making dua for the Muslims that are being persecuted. We don't have to say, okay, a death that happened all of a sudden, now let's, okay, because they're talking about Kobe Bryant's death, let's up here, now let's show that we are in solidity or conformity or collectively, we're showing our support for the Muslims that are being persecuted. We don't have to do that. Nor do we have to do that with a scholar. We don't have to do that. That doesn't negate the fact that we aren't making dua for them. That doesn't negate that we don't love them. That doesn't negate any of those things. We have to really put things in its proper context. Put things in its proper place. Now, walal wa bara is true. So many of us don't know this stuff and we don't understand this stuff. So we do go a little bit overboard in our love and our respect and our admiration for celebrities, whether they musicians, whether they actors, whether they athletes, whether they different people, whatever part, sports, entertainment. We go overboard. We do. You know what I mean? That's natural. That's because we probably don't understand. I'm going to give the rule of thumb. We might be more ignorant than we are knowledgeable about these affairs and what we should and should not do. Tayyip. So he ended up here. He breaks down a real point. He says they have divided muwalla. When we're talking about muwalla now, muwalla is having association, support, and allegiance. They have divided into two types. The first type is called tawalli. All right. Tawalli, he's going to explain what this is. This comes in the verse where Allah Jalla wa Ala says, whoever turns to them with wala, whoever turns to them as a wali, then he is among them. He is of them. Tawalahu tawaliyan. Tawali ma'nahu mahabbatullah. He's going to say what it is. Mahabbat al-shirk wa ahl al-shirk. The meaning here in this verse is whoever loved the people of shirk, love shirk and the people of shirk. Love kufr and the people of kufr. Or support the kuffar over the people of iman, with the objective to make disbelief superior or superior over Islam. Do you understand that? Let's go back. The definition of the first type of tawalli is what? To love shirk and his people, kufr and his people, aid the kuffar over the people of iman, and to, with the objective to make disbelief superior or higher than Islam. You understand it? That's clear. If anyone does this first type, if anyone does this, and they practice this first type, I want you to understand now. This here leads a person out of the fold of Islam. He says this is kufr akbar. This is major disbelief. وَإِذَا كَانَ مِن مُسْلِمٍ فَهِيَ رُدَّةٌ. And if it occurs from a person who says he's Muslim, he have apostated and left the fold of Islam. Just think here. Does this not make sense to you? You a believer? You believe in Allah Azza wa Jal? You believe in His messenger? Etc., etc. Is it possible for you now to support and aid someone who hate Allah and His messenger? Who fight against Allah and His messenger? Who fight against the Muslims? Who does this? Is it okay to support them against Islam? The very religion you profess? Allah Jalla wa Ala tells us in the Quran, no, it's not. Allah Jalla wa Ala says what? He breaks down the disbelievers in two groups, the combatants and the non-combatants. He says against the combatants, we are not to show them a quarter of mercy. Do you understand? He tells us that in the Quran. We are not to show them a quarter of mercy. Those who fight and wage war against us, we are not to show them a quarter of mercy. Do you understand that? That verse is in Surah Saf, by the way, Surah 60. Tayyib. So, that's the first type. I hope we understand it. The second type is what we want to worry about. Alhamdulillah, I hope Allah protect all of us and we're not of the first kind. All of us are protected from the first type of tawalli, okay? We don't want to support the kuffar against the Muslims. We don't want to aid them. We don't, may Allah protect us. Type. The second type is what we're worrying about. Okay? Subhanallah. The second type is muhabba min jins muhabbat al-mushrikeen. It is to have, is a certain type of love that you have for the people of shirk and the disbelievers for the sake of the dunya. Pay attention now. For the sake of the dunya, or due to the sake of relationships or relations. That's my cousin. That's my brother. That's my friend. That's my neighbor. That's my co-worker. That's a celebrity. That's an entertainer. These are people I grew up with their music. I grew up with their movies. I grew up with this. I grew up with that. This type of love, how do we understand it? This is the second type of tawalli. Pay attention now. He's getting detail. He said, as far as this, وضابطه أن تكون محبة أهل الشرك لأجل الدنيا ولا يكون معها النصرة لأنه إذا كان معه النصرة على مسلم بقصد ظهور الشرك على الإسلام صار توليا وهو في قسم المكفر فنهب مشرك وكافر الدنيا وصار معه نوع الموالاة معه لأجل الدنيا فهذا محرم وعصي وليس كفرا. So he breaks down that if the case that a person loved these individuals due to the relations, due to the interactions that they deal with them, due to being grown up with them, due to a dunyari. But if it's for the first type, he's talking about the first kind, we already know that takes you out of the fold of Islam. Alright, we got that clear. If you want to support them over Islam and over the people of Iman and etc., that leads you out of the fold of Islam. But if it's not of that, and it's only for the sake of the dunya, and it's only for the sake of relationships, then at the very least he says, this type is the type that is impermissible. Pay attention to the wording. فَهَذَا مُحَرَّمْ. He said this love is impermissible. Whoa. Look now. It's true. It's impermissible love. He's not speaking from his own desires. He's going to give you verses here. It's impermissible وَمَعَصِيَّةٌ in its disobedience in sin. وَلَيْسَ كُفْرًا. It is not disbelief. Not like the first type. But at the very least it's a sin and is impermissible. You understand this? He said, وَدَلِيلُ ذَلِكَ. Now he's going to speak with dalil. Shaking, just talking from his pocket. He's going to bring the verse of Allah Azza wa Jal. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا تَتَّخِذُوا عَدُوِّي وَعَدُوَّكُمْ أَوْلِيَاءَ تُلْقُونَ إِلَيْهِمْ بِالْمَوَدَّةِ. You might say, okay, brother. The Sheikh brought a verse. That's how he understood the verse. That's okay. He's going to bring you the sabab nuzul. He's going to bring you the reason why this verse was sent down. He's going to bring you a hadith explaining to you why the verse was sent down. He's going to bring you some understanding. This is how the people of Ahlul Hadith does. Ain't going to come in and just say, okay, they just want you to follow their opinion. This is the verse they brought up. And they want, no, they're going to give it to you haqqan. It's going to be so clear. It's like, how can you refute it? It's only you're only not going to follow because it's based upon your desires. Ain't got nothing to do with that. The evidence is clear. Watch, once we finish this. That's how clear it's going to get. Allah Jalla wa Ala says, yo, who you believe, do not take my enemy and your enemy as awliya. Tukuna ilayhim bil mawaddah. As awliya, do not take them as wali. My enemy. Here in this verse, Allah called him his enemy. And your enemy. Because very necessitate and it mandates that whoever is Allah's enemy should be your enemy. We're going to talk about that whole. It necessitates that whoever is Allah's enemy should be your enemy. And if he's not, and if she's not, and if that thing isn't, then there's a naqs in your iman, and there is kadhab in your claim that you love Allah. I'm not going to stop. We're going to show that. طيب, he says, تُلْقَاءُ تُلْقُونَ إِلَيْهِمْ بِالْمَوَدَّةِ, turning towards them with love and affection. Surah Mumtahana, the first verse. The ulama rahimahullah ta'ala, they mention that أثبت الله جل وعلا في هذه الآية. Before we go into this, I have to bring, so that we can understand why we said that you have to love, you have to hate those who are the enemy of Allah Azza wa Jal. Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyya rahmatullah ta'ala alayh, he mentions a line of poetry. Sheikh Salih Fawzan, by the way, I'm not just bringing this because I want to bring this. And his explanation to the same thing that we're talking about, he brings these two lines of poetry. That's where I got it from. And he quotes these two lines of poetry as a way of supporting his evidence about this. So I want you to pay attention to what he's going to say here. The two lines of poetry that he brings up, alhamdulillah, he says, love another person, right? And while he loves his enemy, his enemies, is this correct or this is not? All right? Shaykh al-Damin is going to come from a fictional point of view. That's your homegirl. Y'all grew up together. She claims to love you. You are at war with some other females across town. She claims to love you, but at the same time, she claims to love the other ones. Is her claim in love is correct or no? If you find out that she still loves your enemies, would you still say she loves you? No. Likewise for men. If you find out that this homeboy is running with the people you at war with, would you consider him to be from the people who what? That love you? This is what he's saying. This is fitra. Shaykh al-Damini says, فَنَحْنُ مَا تَعَلَّمْنَا هَذَا. We don't have to learn this. We don't have to go open a textbook or go study and find this out. This is something that is natural within us. If you say you love me, how are you going to love the person that's my enemy? This person wants to do something harm to me, want to cause me problems, and this and that. How can you love my enemy? It's not possible. This is what he's saying. So he's saying, if you saying you love Allah Azza wa Jal, how can you love those whom Allah hate? How can you love those who hate Allah Azza wa Jal? How? He said, he said, what? He said, مَا ذَاكَ فِي إِمْكَانِي. It's not possible. This is natural. It's something all we can agree to. And the next line of poetry said, وَكَذَا تُعَادِ جَاهِدًا أَحْبَبَهُ أَيْنَ مُحَبَّةُ يَا أَخَى الشَّيْطَانِ. He says, تُحِبُّ عَدَاهُ تَعَادِ جَاهِدًا أَحْبَبَهُ بِقَدْرِ مَسْتَطِيعُ. He says, meaning, تُحِبُّ عَدَاهُ, to love his enemies, وَتُعَادِ, all right, and to have animosity, striving against those whom he loves, according to one's ability. أَيْنَ مَحَبَّةِ يَا أَخَى الشَّيْطَانِ. Where is the love of the brother of the shaitan? لَيْسَ مَوْجُودًا. It's not present. وَلِهَذَا مِنْ عَلَامَةِ مَحَبَّةِ الْإِنسان لله أن يحب من يعبد الله. فإذا رأيت في نفسك كراهة لأحد من عباد الله فإنه يجب عليك أن تصحح إيمانك ومحبتك لله. Look what he says here. He says, for this reason, from the signs of you, a person loving Allah, is that he loves those who worship Allah. That's the sign. Henceforth, why did the Prophet ﷺ say in that beautiful hadith, the hadith about brotherhood, the hadith of Abu Hurairah, why did the Prophet ﷺ say what? What did he say? He said it's not possible to hate a believer. Look what he says. He said it's not possible to hate a believer, to have animosity, or to ihqar, to humiliate a believer. Not possible. How are you going to hate someone who loves Allah, who worship Allah? It's not possible. Right? He says here. And understand the difference when he mean hate here. Okay? Because I don't want you to get confused in statements of the Salaf when they would say, from the companions, like the hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar, when he said to the man who was singing the adhan, and he was saying, he says, as for me, I hate you for the sake of Allah, meaning he hated the act that he was doing. He was taking payment and he was doing something that was a contradiction of the sunnah. It doesn't mean that he hated the believer in and of himself. He hated the act that he was doing, so he wanted to deter him from doing it. Allahu a'lam. So I don't want you to think that's a contradiction when it's not. He says, so if you witness within yourself a dislike, a hatred for someone who is from the servants of Allah, then it is upon you to correct your iman and your love for Allah. You have to correct it and you have to look at it. Okay? لكن لاحظوا أن بعض الناس قد يكره بعض المستقيمين لشخصه وليس لأجل استقامته وهذا يقع كثيرا. Pay attention to what he get ready to say. He said, however, attention need to be paid, close attention need to be paid to some of the act of some of the people, what they do. He said it's possible that he hate some of the people who are mustaqimeen, those who are upon istiqamah, due to another person, due to the person itself. He says he hates this person due to this person, not because of what the person is upon. You have to make a distinction, a differentiation. I don't like you personally. You understand? I don't like you personally. I hate you personally. But I don't hate what you are upon. So what will happen is he's going to go into explain what you're going to see is, for example, an individual might shave his beard. What do y'all do about that? Right? So a person might shave his beard, and because you don't like the person personally, you make the claim that such and such dislike the sunnah. The person who cuts his beard, he's an opposition of the sunnah, he hates the sunnah, this and that. So now everybody looking at that person who have cut his beard, even though he did something that was definitely was not permissible in the deen, they will look at him like he's doing it against the sunnah, and they will make it seem like your hatred is based off you want to be, have this gira for the sunnah. But your hatred is not based off of that. You don't like that person. Specifically is what he's saying. You don't like him. So now you're making it about a deen issue when it's not a deen related issue. It's just about something personal you have within yourself against that person. He said you have to make a distinction between that. He says you might say that person is making mockery of the deen. He says it is obligatory that you make a distinction between that. All right, we make a distinction between it. ولهذا لو كره السنة وإن لم يعمل بها أحد كان على قاطر. فلو فرضنا أن كل من حوله يحلقون لحاهم ولكنه يستحذي بمن يخرق لحيته لكان هذا مستحيا بإرقاء اللحية. فهذا قد نقول, for this reason we say إنه خرج من الإسلام. ولهذا نرى أن أبعد الناس عن محبة الله من يقبضون صحابة الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم. So he goes into this. If the person that you're talking about cut his beard and he did this to make mockery of the deen on himself, not because some personal issue that you and him have, and he really did this, and everyone, he does this at the expense, meaning he doesn't, وَلَمْ يَعْمَلْ بِهَا أَحَدٌ, and no one from the people does this, but he does this, then he's on a dangerous affair. Okay? He's on a dangerous affair. For this reason we say that in this case it could be possible he can exit out of the fold of Islam. Well, he had the narah. For this reason we see that the most, he says, أَنَّ أَبْعَدَ النَّاسِ أَنْ مُحَبَّةَ اللَّهِ, that the people who are the most distant from the love of Allah is those who hate the companions of the Messenger of Allah. فَإِنَّ يُبْغِضُ صَحَابَ لَا شَكَّ أَنَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ اللَّهِ. For anyone who hates the companions of Allah, indeed he does not love Allah. لِأَنَّ الصَّحَابَةَ مِنْ أَوْلِيَاءِ اللَّهِ, because the Sahabas are the awliya of Allah, right? وَهُمْ خَيْرُ قَرُونَ, and they are the best of the generations. Nassan, this is according to the text, both from the Quran and from the Hadith. He says, فَإِذَا أَبْغَضَهُمْ شَخْصٌ, so if one person hates them, فَكَيْفَ تَقُولُ, how can he say I love Allah? How is it possible? إِذَا أَبْغَضُوا شَخْصٌ وَصَبَّهُمْ فِي هُوَ فَحَقِيقَ قَدْ طَعْنَ فِيهِمْ. If a person hates them and he insults them, then in reality he criticized them, and he criticizing the Messenger of Allah, and then in turn he's criticizing the Sharia of Allah, and then in turn he's actually criticizing Allah. He brings that as a point. I wanted to bring that is not possible. Now let's get back to our regular thought and get ready to stop, inshallah. It's not possible that you can make a claim that you love Allah at the same time love his enemies. That's what the ayat is saying. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تتخذوا عدوي وعدوكم أولياء تلقى إليكم بالمودة. It's not permissible that you take my enemies and your enemies. Do not take my enemies and your enemies as awliya, inclining towards them or turning towards them with affection. He says here that the ulama, they mention that Allah here is establishing in this verse that what happened and what occurred from those who he still addressed them with iman. In this verse Allah said, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, so he's still talking to believers. Allah is still talking to believers. But the reason for this verse has been sent down, even though he's talking to believers, the reason for this verse that has been sent down, he says, this verse, the tafsir of it is dealing with a well-known companion named Hatib. Okay? Hatib was a well-known companion. What happened was, what he did is, he came to the Messenger ﷺ with some information about the mushrikeen. And he came to them in order to, for their weapons, like to get the weapons from the Messenger of Allah ﷺ. So when this issue became clear to the Prophet ﷺ, he became exposed that what he was doing was like he was working in cohorts or cahoots with the non-believers of Mecca. That's what it seems like. So when Umar saw this and it became exposed, Umar said, Ya Rasulullah, da'ni adraba unaq hada munafiq. He said, leave me alone, Ya Rasulullah, leave me alone. In other words, allow me to behead this hypocrite. Allow me to take off his head. That's what Umar said. Allow me to kill this person. He's a hypocrite. This is what he did. He plotted against the Muslims. He's working with the kuffar. Allow me to kill, you get what I'm saying? So in other words, he's talking about, Umar perceived his actions to be from the first type of tawalli, what we was talking about. Aiding, supporting the kuffar over the Muslims and so forth like that. That takes you out of the fold of Islam. Henceforth, why he said, let me kill him. Do you understand now? Are you getting the point? Umar perceived that that's what he was doing. But look what the Prophet ﷺ did. The Prophet ﷺ, he says, he told Umar, leave him alone. He says, Ya Hatib, he addressed the companion. He says, Ma hamalaka ala hada. What drove you to do this? Why did you do what you're doing right now? What drove you to do this act? That seems outwardly that you are conspiring against the Muslims and that you are supporting and aiding the non-believers. What drove you to do this act? See the Prophet ﷺ being king? The Shaykh, he says, this shows what? The Prophet ﷺ is indicating to us the consideration of a person's intention. All you individuals are on social media and online, attacking the brother or attacking the sister, and don't even understand the person's intention for what they do and why they're doing it. Don't even take in consideration that the person might be ignorant of the whole affair in the first place. Don't take consideration of none of these things. You come across evidence like this and you want to apply it against everybody. See, he's a lover of the kuffar. See, he's a person he loved the enemies of Allah. See, he's aiding the kuffar against the Muslims. You have exposed and have made takfir on your Muslim brother and your Muslim sister based off the understanding that your poorly understanding that you have, that you did not understand what was the objective. Here the Prophet ﷺ said, Ya Hatib, ma hamalaka ala hada. What was your intention for doing so? He took consideration to look at this man's intention. What was your intention for doing what you have done? Do you understand? Showing you that the Prophet ﷺ didn't jump to conclusions and place rulings upon this one or that one. All right? It's very important that we understand this. We didn't learn information so that we can throw it at one another. I didn't learn about the deen or the sunnah so that I can use it against my brother and my sister and hang them on a hook and say, okay, you off of it and this is what it is. No, I didn't learn for that reason. The Prophet ﷺ came out in the hadith, he saw one man arguing and another man was using the one man was arguing, he was using the ayat, and the other man, he was arguing against somebody, he used the ayat, and the Prophet ﷺ said, don't do that to both of them. He said, it's haram. Don't use the verses of a book of Allah against each other. Don't use the hadith of the Messenger of Allah against each other. Don't make it seem like that. Have some understanding. Take in consideration the atmosphere. You was raised up with this celebrity. You listened to their music when at one point in time. You listened to you actually saw their sports. Many of us are sports fans. We know more stats about the athletes than we know about Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. We didn't even know. You can't even tell me 5 significant things from the life of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Be honest. Even the brother who's saying, see, look at the love of the kuffar. That brother can't even tell you 5 significant aspects of Abu Bakr. Nor can he tell you his kunya, nor can he tell you his lineage, nor can he tell you exactly when he accepted Islam, what did he do, what is it. He can't tell you this stuff. So at the end of the day, he can tell you about the stats of all of these basketball players, or this and that, and then he makes you feel guilty because he says, see, you love the kuffar, or you love the Muslims. See, you're doing the first type. Why do you want to so fast and so hasty to put somebody out of the fold of Islam? Why are you so hasty? Look what the Prophet ﷺ said. Ya Hatib, ma hamalaka ala hada. Look what he says here. He says, because the Prophet ﷺ wanted to make clear that if it was the case that what he done was of the first type, then no doubt he was out of the fold of Islam. If it was to aid the kuffar against the Muslim, it was to make them the kuffar superior over that of Islam, or if it was conspiring with the kuffar against the Muslim, if it was for that reason, then no doubt he left the fold of Islam, and then the Prophet ﷺ would probably have let Umar kill him, if that was the reason. But the Prophet ﷺ wanted to make sure here, so he asked him his indication, consideration for that. He says, "Qala alayhi salatu mustabayyin al-amr." Allah Jalla wa Ala the Prophet ﷺ wanted to clarify the matter. So he says, what drove you to this? Look what Hatib said. He said, "Oh Rasulullah, Wallahi ma hamalani ala hada muhabbat al-shirk wa kirahat al-Islam." He said, Wallahi, I didn't do this because of out of my love for shirk and the hatred for Islam. I didn't do this. What I've done, I didn't do this because of no love that I have for shirk and its people, or for any hatred that I have for Islam and its people. I didn't do that for that. That's the first type. I haven't done that for that. Look what he says here. He says, "وَلَكِنْ مَا أَحَدٌ مِّنْ أَصْحَابِكَ إِلَّا وَلَهُ قَدْ يَحْمِي بِهَا مَالَهُ فِي مَكَّةِ وَلَيْسَ لِي يَدٌ أَحْمِي بِهَا مَالِي فِي مَكَّةِ فَأَرَدْتُ أَنْ يَكُونَ لِي بِذَلِكَ قَدْ يَدٌ أَحْمِي بِهَا مَالِي فِي مَكَّةِ." Pay attention now. He said, "Ya Rasulullah, there's not one from amongst my companions that I have, except that they got someone back in Mecca who is protecting their wealth, who is protecting their property. They have someone. I don't have no one and that I got in Mecca that's protecting my wealth and my property. So I was hoping that by way of doing this, I was going to get some help. You understand? So look what he did it. You see why he did it? He's telling the Prophet ﷺ did it. So he didn't have anything in his heart. Pay attention. For supporting the kuffar or aiding the kuffar. He didn't have nothing in his heart for that. It's the reason why he did it, brothers and sisters, is because of what? He did it because he wanted to protect his wealth and property. It ain't nothing to do with what other people think. So why are you saying condolences to Kobe Bryant? Why are you speaking about these celebrities? Why are you Why you did? Brother, do you know what's in that man's heart? Do you know what's in that sister's heart? I'm going to talk about the do's and don'ts, what you shouldn't do, though. Don't get it wrong. But at the same time, don't so quick to throw your brother and sister off the deen. Don't be so quick to do that. Don't be hasty in your decisions. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah Jalla wa Ala clarified this matter at the end of this verse. Allah Jalla wa Ala clarified this matter because this verse was sent down pertaining to Hatib. He said, he clarified it by saying, وَمَنْ يَفْعَلْهُ مِنْكُمْ, and whoever from amongst you does this, فَقَدْ ضَلَّ سَوَاءِ السَّبِيلِ. Allah Jalla wa Ala says, whoever does this, meaning show love and inclines towards the enemy, my enemy and your enemy, love and affection towards them, then indeed this individual has went astray. He has erred from the correct path. So in other words, Allah called it a sin. He called it dalal. He called it misguidance. This is the point the Shaykh is trying to bring. The second type of love and affection that you have for worldly aims, for worldly purposes, for relations or relationships, this type is a sin and it is muharram, it's impermissible. Allah did not say it was permissible. He said it was impermissible, but he still called them a believer. He did not take them out of the fold of Islam. That's the point the Shaykh is trying to make. I hope that is clear. Alhamdulillah. All right, that's clear. Last but not least, I'm going to finish the words of the Shaykh, and then I'm going to show you the danger of all of this and the do's and the don'ts, inshallah. He says, so from this, the ulama, they have divided the benefit from this verse, and from the verse in Surah Al-Ma'idah, وَمَنْ يَتَوَلَّهُ مِنْكُمْ فَإِنَّهُ مِنْهُمْ, and whoever turns towards them and inclines towards them is of them. وَمِنْ آيَاتِ الْمُجَادِلَةِ, and also from the ayah that we talked about at first, you know, we're not finding people who love Allah in the last day, but even Allah in the last day, except that loving those who oppose Allah's message. He says, how do you understand this? They divide wali, walaya, into walla and wa muwalat. Okay? And we just talked about that. The first type take you out of the fold of Islam. That's when you love shirk, its people. You love kufr and its people. And you aid kufr, the kuffar against Islam. And you want it to be superior over Islam. That leads you out of the fold of Islam. That's clear. I hope no one have any dispute with that. Now may Allah protect us all from that. The second type is when we have relationships. Okay? The second type is when we have relationships. The second type is when we have a neighbor who's a non-believer. When we have a relative who's a non-believer. When we have this person or that person who is a non-believer. How do we behave towards them? That second type still is a sin. Don't get it twisted. The love that you profess is still is a sin. So you might say, brother, if you ain't allowed to have love for them, what is you allowed to have? I'm going to get to that. Type. So he says, they mentioned that أموالة باسم آب منه قولا وهو مفكر بضاد. We already said that. He says ومنه موالة هو نوع المودة لأجل الدنيا. We already said that. So he said it's obligatory and incumbent upon the believer that he have love for Allah. Love for his messenger and love for the believers. Okay? It's obligatory. وَلَا يَكُونَ فِي قَلْبِهِ مُوَدَّةً لِلْكُفَّارِ. And he cannot have in his heart a shred of love for the non-believers. وَلَوْ كَانَ لِأُمُورِ الدُّنْيَا. Even if it's pertaining to the matters and the affairs of the dunya. إِذَا عَامَلَ مُشْرِكِينَ عَامَلَ كُفَّارَ فِي أُمُورِ الدُّنْيا. If he was to happen to work with them, and he had to do some type of business with them, or some type of transaction with them, or have to interact with them, meaning from the people of shirk and the people of kufr. If he had to do that in regards to the matters of the dunya, إِنَّمَا تَكُونَ مَعَامَلَ الظَّاهِرَ بِدُونِ مِنْ لِلْقَلْبِ. It should be an outward type of interaction that does not, and without leaning or inclining your heart towards that person. Do you understand that? It's supposed to be done generally out on a respect level basis, but not inclining your hearts towards that person. You shouldn't, right? وَلَا مُحَبَّةَ الْقَبْلِ لِمَاذَا. You should not have anything in your heart for his love for these people. And he said, why? He said, لِأَنَّ مُشْرِكْ حَمَلَ قَلْبٍ فِي مَصَّبَّةِ اللَّهِ جَلَّ وَعَلَى. He said, because in reality, be honest with yourself. That person that you're saying you love is upon shirk. He have what in his heart? He have insult. He have disrespected Allah. He has insulted Allah Jalla wa'ala. He carries that in his heart. He says, لِأَنَّ مُشْرِكَ سَابٌ لِلَّهِ جَلَّ وَعَلَى بِفِعْلِهِ. Because with his action, he has offended Allah Azza wa Jalla, and he has insulted Allah Jalla wa'ala with his action. What is he talking about? اتَّخَذَ مَعَ اللَّهِ جَلَّ وَعَلَى إِلَهًا آخَرَ. He has taken another deity to worship besides Allah. He have committed the greatest crime that you can ever commit. There's nothing worse than shirk. Do you understand that? There's nothing worse than shirk. So you have committed that gravest crime. So by him committing that gravest crime, he's saying that the believer, he says, وَالْمُؤْمِنُ مُتَوَلًّا لِلَّهِ جَلَّ وَعَلَى وَلِرَسُولِهِ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا فَلَا يُمْكِنْ يَكُونَ فِي قَلْبِهِ مُوَدَّةً لِمَحَمَلَ الشِّرْكِ وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. He says, so the believer is the one who have turned towards Allah with love and affection and allegiance to Allah, his messenger of believers. He said it's not possible for him to have love for someone who has in his heart that which is in opposition, and he worship others in Allah. He said, how can that happen? He says, in refuge is sought with Allah. So that matter become clear when we deal with wala wal bara. Now, I'm done at my end. I'm at the end, alhamdulillah. The danger, the do's and the don'ts. If, for example, you was raised up in basketball, if you was raised up in all of this stuff, a lot of it was, I was too. I was raised up with a lot of stuff. If you was afflicted with watching movies, you was afflicted with listening to music, all of us, come on, man, just stop being lying. That's the era in the place that we live in. It's a time frame that we live in. And I'm not making an excuse. I'm not being sympathetic. I'm not being soft. I'm not being musahil. I'm being honest. Taking consideration fiqhul waqi'. Taking the situation of the whole entire thing. Even in light of what everything we went in. Like the Prophet ﷺ took in consideration that man's intention. Okay? That noble companion, he took in consideration his intention. Tight. So, the do's and the don'ts. From this talk, you should already know that it's not permissible under no circumstances to have love for the people of shirk, kufr, and the people of kufr. That's what you should understand. It's not permissible. So, along those lines, you should not say, and I'm going to say this again, along those lines, you should not say, I love you. This might become a little bit conflicted to most people. I'm not talking about, because I know the question is going to come up. What if you married to a non-believer? Because the permissibility of marrying the people Ahlul Kitab, right? What if that's your wife? Right? I know that question will come up with a lot of people and stuff like that. What is it this or what is it that? Don't confuse none of the two. That's what they call it tabariyatul love. They call it a natural love, right? So a lot of people, this is a real intricate topic. This is something that a lot of us aren't there yet. So I'm not here to place rulings on you, brother and sister, because your iman haven't reached this level. I don't even know if my iman have reached this level. So we want to be honest with ourselves, and we want to just throw out this terms of accusation. The haq is the haq, if it's for us or against us. But at the same time, we have to elevate and ascend to that. And henceforth, Allah Jalla wa'ala did not start off with the prohibitions. He started off with what? Curating the hearts, purifying the hearts with the tawheed first, before he starts saying the do's and the don'ts. As the hadith of our mother Aisha radhiyallahu anha mentioned. You understand? When it came down to prohibition of khamr, gambling and stuff like that, it took 3 different verses and 3 different time instances before it was actually forbidden. Because Allah was cultivating their hearts to reach a certain level. Don't forget that, man. We can't forget that when we're dealing in dawah. Don't think that somebody so automatically, because he's Muslim and because she's Muslim, she's so automatically supposed to surrender. Yes, outwardly, he's supposed to surrender to the text. But what if you don't understand? What if you don't like the person who's bringing it to you? What if the person who's bringing it to you doesn't explain it to you properly and he don't know what he understands, so he's giving you a poor understanding of what's being said? Can you fault you for not following that? Shaykh al-Taymin talks about that in the ayat in Surah Al-Isra, where Allah Jalla wa Ala says that He does not punish a people without sending them a warner, first and foremost. And He mentioned that it's possible that a person can come to you, that they don't dislike the evidence, they dislike the person that's bringing it to them. It's possible. You know what I mean? I don't like what you're bringing. I don't like the way that you're bringing it. So you ain't rejecting the hadith, or you're not rejecting the ayat. You might rejecting the person. And it takes stages for you to get to that level. So I just wanted to bring that. So I'll tell you, the harms of this is that the extreme harm of the do's and the don'ts is what you don't want to stay away from, is that you have to be careful with, we already know loving them is impermissible, but you have to be careful in how you express that and how far you take that, because it leads to the path of shirk. Okay? And I'm going to show you this why. It leads to what we call shirkul muhabba. Alright? It leads to the path of what? Shirkul muhabba, shirk and love. Shaykh al-Taymin explain what is shirk and love. Shirk muhabba is the... He said, وَالشِّرْكَ فِي الْمُحَبَّةِ مِنْ أَشَدِّ الْأَنْوَاعِ الشِّرْكَ عَلَى الْقَلْبِ وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. He says shirk muhabba is the worst form of the types of shirk on the heart, shirk of the heart. And refuge is sought from Allah Azza wa Jalla. Alright? You have to be careful for that, because you can commit shirk and muhabba. So that you understand what do I mean by shirk and muhabba. Shirk and muhabba is whenever, pay attention now, you love a person and you obey that person and you follow that person over the speech of Allah, over the commands of Allah, over the prohibitions of Allah, and that of His Messenger. You understand? Whenever over the commands of Allah, the prohibitions of Allah, and over the obedience of Allah, if you find yourself saying, that's my sheikh, or that celebrity right there, I got nothing but mad love for that person, and that person says something that goes against the book of Allah and the Sunnah, that goes against the statement of Allah Azza wa Jalla, and you obey them in that, you have committed what we call shirk muhabba. That's the danger of unrestrictedly loving these people. Do you understand? That's the danger. And don't say, brother, I'm not doing that. Don't say, brother, I'm not going to fall into that. Don't say, brother, this is not going to happen. Because be honest, we are having battles, cyber wars, text wars, online about defending or non-defending a non-believer. Bottom line. Why are you even going that far? First, it's not permissible for you to love him. So why are you even going that far over battle back and forth? Come on, be honest. Why are you so saturated? And pay attention to what he's going to say. He says, وَاللَّهِ مَنْ فَكَّ الَّذِي هُوَ دَأْبُهُ أَبَدًا مِنَ الْإِشْرَاكِ بِالرَّحْمَنِ فَالْقَلْبُ بَيْتُ الرَّبِّ جَلَّ جَلَالُهُ حُبًّا وَإِخْلَاصًا مَعَ الْإِحْسَانِ فإذا تعلق بالسماع عصاره عبدا لكل فلانة وفلان. Pay attention. In these 3 lines of poetry, even though he's talking specifically about the musicians, they still a form of celebrity. Alright? Even though he's talking about the musician and music, pay attention what he says though. He says, Wallahi, he swears by Allah. Shaykh al-Taymin says, the author swears by Allah in this line of poetry. من فك الذي هو دأبه أبدا من الإشراك بالرحمن. He's saying that أن الذي يكون دأبه غناء لا ينفك من الإشراك بالرحمن. He said that the one who have brought and cultivate themselves up off of music, off of these music instruments or these music, what happens is this person will not cease to join partners with Ar-Rahman. I'm going to repeat that again. Which what Ibn al-Qayyim is alluding to, he's saying that the person who have brought themselves up, accustomed themselves to this type of exposure, have not led or have placed any defense against shirk with Ar-Rahman. Actually, they will not cease to commit shirk with Ar-Rahman. That's what he's saying. And he explains that, as Shaykh al-Taymin said in the next 2 lines. He said, because the heart is the place in where it's supposed to be occupied for Allah Azza wa Jal. It's the place where love for Allah and ikhlas for Allah and ihsan is supposed to be for Allah. Do you understand? That's the place. The heart is the place for that. Okay? So, when the person, ta'allaq bis-sima'i, by way of listening to this stuff, when the person connects his heart to the listening and to the lyrics and to the music, and to the people of that, when he connects his heart to that, what happens? He becomes a servant to the musician, female and male. This is what happened. He become, and you say, brother, no, he don't. Same thing Adi ibn Hatim said. When Allah Jalla wa'ala says in Surah Tawbah, do not take, Allah Jalla wa'ala says that they have taken their rabbis, their priests and their monks as arbab and min dunillah, besides Allah. Adi ibn Hatim, the noble companion, said, Ya Rasulullah, no, they haven't. The Prophet ﷺ said, yes, they did. Have they not followed them in things that Allah has made impermissible, and they made permissible, and they followed in that? And things when Allah made permissible, they made it permissible, and they followed in that? He said, by them doing that, because that was only the rule, that was only the authority of Allah can do that, by them doing that and following them in that, they have taken them as lords besides Allah Azza wa Jalla. They call this shirk ta'ah. This is shirk of obedience. Do you understand this? It's become clear, man. You have to start understanding shirk and knowing what it is. You understand? That's what it is. Basically, you can't do that. You understand? So, he says here, because the heart that is connected to this, it's filth and refuge from Allah, what happened, it becomes so saturated with it that the person spends his night and his day, and you know this is true, standing or sitting, you know this is true, right? Preoccupied. You follow the award show. Let's be real. Whether it's the Grammys, whether it's hip hop, this, whether it's BET, whether it's this, you follow the award show. It's entertainment. You follow it. You follow the lives of these people. All right. So many people will go to bat for these people. You find people imitating these people. As Shaykh Islam Ibn Taymiyyah said that what? As the Prophet ﷺ said, not Ibn Taymiyyah, he said, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man tashabbaha qawmin biqawmin fahuwa minhum." Whoever imitates the people than the other. The highest form of flattery, as they mentioned, is imitation. Shaykh Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, he says, it shows that when a person imitates another person, they are indirectly indicating that the person they are imitating, they believe somehow that that person is better than them in some way. So they submit to the fact that they must follow that person. Do you understand that? That's what they're doing. So you have to really look into this stuff. This is serious, man. This is real serious stuff. So he says, actually, once you connect yourself night and day, وَلِهَذَا تَجِدُ مَفْتُونِينَ بِأَهْلِ الْغِنَاءِ لَا يَكُونَ فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ إِلَّا أُولَٰئِكَ قَوْمٌ الَّذِينَ فُتِنُوا بِهِمْ. We know this to be true. We know this to be true. Boys arguing about Biggie and Pop, arguing who's the best lyricist, who's this, who's that. Let's go to bat. Boys will sit there and fight. I'm not speaking to so-and-so based on this kalam. I'm not speaking of that. You said what? LeBron? What? Who better than him? What? What are you talking about? Heated arguments. Fights break out. Let's be real. For this sport player, that sport player. It's the point. How can you make wala wal bara over that? Is what he's saying. How can we make a separation, a distinction over that? How? You can't. And it cannot emanate unless there's something in the qalb, the love in the heart that you have for these people is why you act the way you act. You said, what about LeBron? You said, what about such and such? You did what? Are you crazy? We think this stuff is a light matter. It's not. He says that you find that the people, they don't have nothing in their heart except that it's these people who they have been afflicted with. And what happened is the love that they have for these people, it oversaturates and crowds their heart over the love they should have for Allah. Henceforth, it comes to now shirk muhabba. See? So analyze your love. And don't tell me, your adoration, your admiration, your respect, if you want to call it, if you will. Analyze it and be honest with yourself. Do you hold anything in your heart for any celebrity? And ask yourself, why do you do it? Is it based off the fact because they're a believer? Allah, His Messenger, believers. Is that the category? Or is it for something else? Ask yourself that. If your love for them, first of all, you shouldn't have love if it's outside of these three groups I just mentioned. But if your love for them is there, then analyze that. Okay? Analyze that and be honest with yourself. You don't have to get on social media and start talking about, this is how I am. I'm not asking you. It's a rhetorical question. Ask yourself and be honest with yourself. and put everything in its proper place. Yes, you can love the game. Okay, there's some early miles in the game might preoccupy you from this and that, so it might be lead to that, which leads to haram, so you cut it off. There's some others say no, it's permissible, such and such, as long as it doesn't do such and such and such and such. Okay, you might have love for the game. Naturally, you might have love for it. You might have love for this situation, that situation. Naturally, and naturally, the people who plays that, you might have and respect. I would say the safest thing I can think of is respect for the fact that y'all share a common interest in a sport. A respect, but not an individual singling a person out due to the simple fact of that respect, nor allowing that love to saturate in your heart where you now starting to have love that you cannot explain. You don't have dalil that is permissible for you to have love for these individuals. We just brought dalil showing you that it wasn't. So you don't have any dalil that say that you can have love for these people. We just brought you dalil that you cannot. You understand that? That was clear. But respect as a common interest in the game itself, as a common interest in the entertainment of itself, because all of us got to be real with ourselves. We all entertain at some point. And for those who Allah bless us to not and to leave that stuff alone, may Allah reward you. Allah divided the believers into 3 categories. Some people forget this. Allah divided the believers in 3 categories, and all of them want to be in paradise. Some people forget this stuff. How do you forget it? Allah Azza wa Jalla, He mentioned that there are from the believers, there are those who are what? Zalimun li nafsi. There are those who oppress their own selves. They're still believers. Okay? Then there are those who what? There are those who are muqtasid. There are those who are in the middle course. They're still believers. There are those who are sabiqun. They are first and foremost. They're still believers. All of them at the end of the verse will be in paradise. The Prophet ﷺ said that what? That the Allah Jalla wa Ala, He loves the strong believer over the weak believer. However, in both of them, there's khayr. They're still good. How can we forget this? This is why the Khawarij, man, and y'all got to really stay away from this stuff. This is why the Khawarij went astray. Y'all haven't really studied about these sects, and you think you did. You don't even understand the real core issue why they went astray. You looking at these ayats on threats and punishments and stuff like that, and you think like, how can a person do that? How can a person ever do that? You understand? How can a person ever do such and such like that? That shows that person doesn't believe. And then you so gun-ho, you're ready to pick them out of the fold of Islam. Immediately. And that's what that group did. They said that anyone who does a major sin will be in the fire forever. You understand? Have left the fold of Islam. That's how far they have went. That's how serious. They was the actual first group that ever went astray, was the Khawarij. Do you understand that? If you don't understand how to look at these issues in the correct, proper way, you're going to be doing the same thing. Putting so-and-so off it, putting so-and-so off it. You're going to be doing the same thing. No, you have to have a balance and a correct understanding. Do you understand? Just because a person falls into a sin does not make that person outside of the fold of Islam. Even if it's shirk. Even if it's shirk. I'm going to say this again. Just because a person falls into a sin does not take him out of the fold of Islam. Even if it's shirk. I said, bro, what are you talking about? Because the ulama have explained, Allah Azza wa Jalla said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَغْفِرُ أَن يُشْرَكَ مَعَهُ وَيَغْفِرُ مَا دُونَ ذَلِكَ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ. Allah Azza wa Jalla says Allah does not forgive shirk. He says it twice in Surah An-Nisa, and He mentioned in many different other verses that a person who dies upon shirk, what will happen? They will remain in the fire, etc., etc., etc. But that is a contingent upon if they die and they don't make tawbah from it. Allah said Allah does not forgive shirk, that partners would join with Him, but He forgive anything lesser than that. The ulama, they argue, they say here, this verse proves that there is a major shirk and there is a minor shirk. And that minor shirk is that which maduna dhalik, that is lesser than major shirk. Either way, they're both things you should stay away from. But if you fall into minor shirk, you have the ability to be forgiven, because Allah says Allah forgives anything other than that to whomsoever He wills. We have to be careful when we approach these issues. Do not put a person off. Even if you see your brother and sister might be sadly mistaken, and they might do have a love for these people or an affection for these people, know that it's a sin at the very least, but it's not kufr. And don't give them kufr, and don't say they tripping. Okay, you can say, well, they might don't understand, because 9 times out of 10, majority of the Muslims are ignorant than they are knowledgeable. So stop thinking that. You get on Facebook, well, I heard so-and-so give a class, and this is what it was. You get on Instagram, you get on Twitter, you get on these different platforms, and all you want to do is attack this one and attack that one, and say the Muslims are tripping, they're going all crazy, and so forth and so on. But you don't understand the level or understanding of that Muslim you're talking about. What makes you think that that Muslim even study half of these issues, or even understand these issues? And you yourself might don't understand these issues. All right? You with me? So I just wanted to bring this as something for all of us to take in consideration. Bi'idhnillah, if I did any justice of explaining the point of wala wal bara, and if I did anything wrong, it was for myself and the shaitan. I hope that all of us can properly look at this stuff. And like I said, I'm not claiming to be there yet. We have to take time. So let's aid one another to get to these points. But it is obligatory, and the haq is the haq. If it's for, it's against us. But I'm not there yet. And I'm not going to blame you and say that you need to be there if you're not there. Yeah, we all need to try to get there, but we need to help and aid one another to get there. Okay? And we can have respect as a common interest. Allahu A'lam. But we can't have love. We can't have affection. We can have respect. And if the very least, if love creeps in, if that affection creeps in, then know that it's still a sin and you're still being disobedient in regards to that. And we ask Allah Jalla to forgive you, and you're under the Mashiach of Allah Azza wa Jalla. You understand? You're being under the will of Allah. But we're not going to take you out of the fold of Islam. We're not going to say you're not Salafi. We're not going to say you aiding the people of shirk against the people of kufr. We're not going to do all of that. We want to be balanced, inshallah. So that's what I wanted to bring this morning, inshallah ta'ala, just as a follow-up for all of what we see and made it clear. Inshallah ta'ala, you can refer back to this video. Anything I said wrong or incorrect that you catch, I'm making the expiation for it now. But if you catch it, if I quoted a verse wrong, or if I quoted a issue or understanding of an issue, please, you can actually comment under this video, or you can actually send it to me in the inbox. Whatever the case may be, I'm not arrogant enough. If the haq is against me, I'm going to accept it and take it, inshallah. Subhanakallah wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Jazakallahu khairan.